Hello, Arsenal fans, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. Today, we're diving deep into a concerning issue that's becoming impossible to ignore the Emirates. Viktor Gyokeres, Arsenal's big-money summer signing from Sporting CP, is struggling to find his feet in North London, and Saturday's match against Brighton and Hove Albion exposed a fundamental weakness in his game that, frankly, is quite shocking for a striker of his price tag. Let me take you through what happened, why it matters, and what it means for Arsenal's season going forward. The big picture, Gyökeres' Arsenal journey so far. Let's start with some context. Arsenal brought Viktor Gyokeres to the club in the summer transfer window from Sporting CP. This was supposed to be the signing that would solve Arsenal's goal-scoring problems. The Swedish international arrived with a reputation as a prolific striker, someone who had been banging in goals in Portugal and looked ready to make the step up to Premier League. The price tag? Over £60 million. That's a massive investment, and with that kind of money comes enormous expectations. When you spend that much on a striker, you expect him to hit the ground running and make an immediate impact. And to be fair to Gyökeres, he did start reasonably well. In his first 4 Premier League games wearing the Arsenal shirt, he managed to find the back of the net 3 times. That's not a bad return at all for someone adapting to a new league, a new team, and the intense pressure that comes with being Arsenal's number 14. But here's where the story takes a troubling turn. Since those first 4 games, Gyökeres has only managed for more goals in all competitions. Now, you might think that's not terrible on the surface, but when you break it down, it's a real cause for concern. We're talking about a striker who was brought in specifically to score goals consistently, and the numbers just aren't adding up. The Brighton game, a microcosm of Gyökeres' problems. Saturday's match against Brighton and Hove Albion perfectly illustrated everything that's going wrong with Viktor Gyökeres right now. The Swedish striker played 71 minutes in that game, and while you can never fault his work rate, his actual effectiveness in the areas that matter most for a striker was deeply concerning. Let's talk about what Gyökeres does well, because it's important to be fair here. The man works incredibly hard. Throughout the entire 71 minutes he was on the pitch, Gyökeres was competing in duels, trying to link up play with his teammates, and generally putting in the effort. You cannot question his commitment or his desire to succeed. He's clearly desperate to make it work at Arsenal. But football at the highest level isn't just about effort. It's about being effective, being clinical, and most importantly for a striker, being in the right place at the right time. And this is where Gyökeres is falling short in a way that's honestly embarrassing for someone of his experience and price tag. The game against Brighton showed us exactly what's missing. In the opening minutes of the match, Gyökeres had a glorious chance to score. This was the kind of opportunity that top strikers put away without thinking. But he missed it. And it wasn't just that he missed. It was that after that early chance, he simply wasn't a threat for the remainder of his time on the pitch. The Martinelli moment that said everything. Now here's where things get really interesting and where the title of today's video comes into play. When Gabriel Martinelli came on in the second half as a substitute, something happened that exposed exactly what's wrong with Viktor Gyökeres' game right now. Martinelli, who primarily plays out wide as a winger, made a near-post run to meet a cross from Bukayo Saka. Now, Saka's delivery was excellent, as it usually is. The England international is one of the best crossers of the ball in the Premier League, and when he put a ball into the box, you need to be attacking it with intent and intelligence. Martinelli did exactly that. He made an aggressive, purposeful run towards the near post, and he almost scored. In fact, he came so close that manager Mikel Arteta literally fell to his knees when Martinelli missed. Think about that image for a second. Your manager is so desperate for someone to make that kind of intelligent run and convert the chance that he's on his knees when it doesn't quite come off. But here's the crucial point. Even though Martinelli missed a chance, his movement was absolutely excellent. He showed exactly what a forward player should be doing when playing an Arsenal system with creators like Bukayo Saka, providing service. He attacked the space, he made himself available, and he gave himself the best possible chance to score. This moment proved something really important. It showed that if an attacker makes aggressive runs toward the first post, they will get chances in this Arsenal team. Saka's deliveries are usually excellent, and the service is there. The opportunities are being created. But someone has to be smart enough and brave enough to attack that space. And this is Viktor Gyokeres' biggest weakness, laid bare for everyone to see. The near post problem. Throughout the Brighton game, and really throughout his entire Arsenal career so far, Gyökeres has shown a puzzling reluctance to make near post runs. Instead, he's almost always waiting for the ball at the far post. And not just at the far post, but often behind the opposition defender. Think about what this means tactically. When you're waiting at the far post behind a defender, you're giving that defender every advantage. They can see both you and the ball. They can adjust their position. They have time to react. You're making it as easy as possible for them to defend against you. Compare that to making aggressive near-post runs. When you attack the near post, you're putting yourself between the ball and the defender. You're making it difficult for them to track you. You're getting goal side. You're giving yourself the best possible chance to connect with crosses and through balls. It's basic striker play, the kind of thing you'd expect any center forward to understand instinctively. The fact that Gabriel Martinelli, who is primarily a winger and not a natural striker, understood this better than Gyökeres in that Brighton game is genuinely shocking. Martinelli's natural instinct was to attack the near-post space, while Gyökeres, the £60 million striker brought in specifically to score goals, was hanging around at the far post hoping something would fall to him. Why this is so concerning? Let's be really clear about why this is such a big problem. Movement inside the penalty box is one of the absolute fundamental traits that a striker needs to possess at the top level. We're not talking about some advanced tactical concept here. We're talking about being able to read the game, anticipate where the ball is going to be, and position yourself to have the best chance of scoring. The ability to be at the right place at the right time is what separates good strikers from average ones. It's what makes a number 9 prolific. Think about the great strikers in Premier League history. Think about players like Sergio Aguero, Thierry Henry, Robin van Persie, Ian Wright. These players had an almost supernatural ability to find space in the box and be exactly where they needed to be when the ball arrived. Viktor Gyokeres is not showing that ability right now, and for whatever reason, he seems unable or unwilling to make those basic near-post runs that create goal-scoring opportunities. And when you consider that this is a player who costs over £60 million, it's not just concerning, it's frankly embarrassing. Near-post runs are absolutely basic for a center forward. This isn't advanced coaching or some secret technique. This is day one striker training. Youth team strikers learn this. And yet here we have an experienced international striker, someone who is scoring goals regularly in Portugal, who seems to have forgotten or never properly learned this fundamental aspect of the position. The fact that he's struggling in this department is not a good look at all. Arsenal fans have every right to be frustrated and concerned. When you invest that kind of money in a player, you expect them to have the basics absolutely nailed down. You expect them to be teaching younger players, not being shown up by wingers who are filling in centrally. The wider context, Arsenal's goal-scoring woes. Now, let's zoom out for a moment and look at why this matters so much for Arsenal as a team. The club brought in Gyökeres specifically to solve their goal-scoring problems. This has been Arsenal's Achilles heel for a while now. They create chances. They dominate possession. They play attractive football. But they don't always convert their opportunities with the ruthlessness required to win titles. That's why the Gyökeres signing was so important. It was meant to be the missing piece of the puzzle. A proper number 9 who could be relied upon to put the ball in the net consistently. Someone who could be the difference in tight games, who could turn 1 point into 3 points with a moment of brilliance or just by being in the right place at the right time. But 7 games into his drought, and with performances like the one against Brighton, serious questions have to be asked. Is Gyökeres the answer to Arsenal's problems, or has he become another part of the problem? Can he adapt to what Mikel Arteta needs from him, or is there a fundamental disconnect between the player Arsenal thought they were getting and the player they actually have? The comments from Arsenal fans tell their own story. One supporter wrote that Gyökeres is proving to be a hoax, that he cannot hold defenders, cannot make 2 dribbles, cannot give an accurate pass, cannot fall back to assist his teammates, and falls down too easily despite being well built. They described him as a flash in the pan in Portugal and said he should never start. That's pretty damning from your own fan base. Another fan pointed out that Gyökeres just looks so out of sync with his teammates, questioning why Arteta cannot stop forcing him into the team. A third supporter said they're not quite sure what Arsenal saw in him, noting that the team is not playing to his strengths at all. These are legitimate concerns from fans who watch every game and want their team to succeed. And when even supporters who want to back their players are starting to lose faith, you know there's a real problem that needs addressing. Is there hope for improvement? Now, before we get too doom and gloom about the situation, let's talk about whether things can improve. Because despite all the criticism, despite the poor performances, there is actually a positive angle to this story. Movement inside the box can be improved. This isn't like pace, which is largely innate. This isn't like natural finishing ability, which some players just have and others don't. Movement, positioning, and understanding of space are all things that can be coached and developed. Mikel Arteta and the Arsenal coaching staff need to work intensively with Gyökeres on his movement inside the box. They need to sit him down with video analysis. Show him exactly what Martinelli did differently. Show him how other top strikers attack the near post, and drill it into him repeatedly on the training ground. If Gyökeres can perfect the side of his game, if he can add that near post movement to his work rate and physical attributes, then there's every reason to believe he can start scoring goals for fun in this Arsenal side. The service is there. Bukayo Saka is providing excellent delivery. Martin Ødegaard is creating chances. The team is set up to feed a striker, but that striker needs to be smart enough and brave enough to attack the right spaces. The Swedish international clearly has talent. You don't score the goals he scored at Sporting CP without being a quality player. But talent alone isn't enough at this level. You need the right movement, the right positioning, and the right understanding of what your team needs from you. What needs to happen next? So what needs to happen in the coming weeks? First and foremost, the coaching staff needs to make Gyökeres' movement priority in training. Every session should include work on his positioning, his runs, his understanding of when and where to attack space in the penalty area. Secondly, Arteta needs to have some honest conversations with his striker. Sometimes players need a wake-up call. They need someone to tell them directly that what they're doing isn't good enough and needs to change. Given how much Arsenal invested in Gyökeres, they cannot afford for the signing to fail. Thirdly, there might need to be some rotation. If Gyökeres continues to struggle, Arteta might need to give him some time out of the team to work on his game and training without the pressure of matchday performances. Sometimes players benefit from a reset, a chance to step back and work on their weaknesses without the glare of the spotlight. Arsenal have big games coming up, including a match against Aston Villa that fans are already discussing in terms of whether Gyökeres should start. The pressure is building, and Gyökeres needs to respond. He needs to show that he can learn, adapt, and become the striker Arsenal thought they were signing. Final thoughts. Look, nobody wants Viktor Gyokeres to fail. Arsenal fans want him to succeed. They want their £60 million investment to pay off. They want to see him scoring goals and helping the team challenge for trophies. But right now, the evidence suggests he's struggling with fundamental aspects of striker play that simply have to improve. The Gabriel Martinelli moment against Brighton was a perfect illustration of what's going wrong. A winger showed better strikers' instincts than the actual striker. That cannot continue if Arsenal are going to achieve their ambitions this season. The good news is that this is fixable. With proper coaching, dedication, and a willingness to learn, Gyökeres can develop the movement patterns he needs to succeed at Arsenal. But time is running out for patience. The team needs goals, the fans need results, and Gyökeres needs to deliver. We'll be watching closely to see how he responds in the coming weeks. Can he prove the doubters wrong and start fulfilling his potential? Or will this be remembered as one of Arsenal's most disappointing signings? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. Something needs to change, and it needs to change soon. That's all for today's Arsenal Daily News. Let me know in the comments what you think about the Gyökeres situation. Is there still hope, or should Arteta be looking at other options? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Martin Ødegaard's best performance of the season. A turning point for Arsenal? Hello, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. Today we are diving deep into what could be a pivotal moment in Arsenal's season. Alan Shearer, the legendary Newcastle United striker and one of the most respected voices in English football, has made a bold statement about Martin Ødegaard's performance against Brighton. According to Shearer, the Arsenal captain delivered his best display of the entire season in the Gunners' 2-1 victory over the Seagulls at the Emirates Stadium. This is significant news for Arsenal fans who have been waiting patiently for their captain to rediscover form that made him so influential last season. Let's break down everything that happened in this match, what it means for Ødegaard's confidence going forward, and how this performance could impact other players in the squad. The match that changed everything. Arsenal faced Brighton at the Emirates Stadium, and while the final scoreline was 2-1 in favor of the Gunners, the match told a more complex story. Mikel Arteta's team looked dominant in the first half, setting themselves up for what appeared to be a comfortable victory. However, the second 45 minutes proved to be much more challenging, with Arsenal making hard work of closing out the game. The opening goal came from none other than Martin Ødegaard himself, and it was a kind of strike that reminded everyone why he wears the captain's armband. The Norwegian international unleashed a sumptuous strike from outside the penalty area, a goal that had Alan Shearer purring with admiration. This was not just any goal. This was a statement. This was Ødegaard announcing that he is ready to shoulder the responsibility and lead Arsenal through the crucial second half of the season. Alan Shearer, speaking on the Rest is Football podcast, could not hide his enthusiasm for what he witnessed. He stated clearly that he thought Ødegaard had his best game of the season. Shearer praised not just the goal itself, but also how good Ødegaard looked on the ball throughout the match. For a player of Shearer's stature and experience, to single out Ødegaard's performance speaks volumes about the quality on display. The technical brilliance of Ødegaard's goal. Let's talk about that goal in more detail, because it deserves our full attention. Striking the ball from outside the penalty area requires exceptional technique, confidence, and timing. Ødegaard demonstrated all three qualities in abundance. After the match, the Arsenal captain revealed something interesting. He has been working hard on his shooting and training, and against Brighton, all that hard work paid off in spectacular fashion. This detail is crucial for Arsenal fans to understand. It shows that Ødegaard is not just relying on natural talent. He is actively working to improve specific aspects of his game. When your captain is putting in extra hours on the training ground to refine his skills, it sets the tone for the entire squad. This is the kind of leadership that goes beyond wearing the armband. This is leadership through dedication and example. The goal itself was struck with power and precision. From outside the box, Ødegaard generated the kind of velocity that gave the Brighton goalkeeper very little chance. The technique required to keep the ball down while generating that much power is something that only the elite players possess. And on this day, Ødegaard showed he belongs in that elite category. Arsenal's attacking performance. While Ødegaard took center stage, Arsenal's overall attacking display deserves recognition. The statistics in the match paint a picture of dominance that the final scoreline does not fully capture. Arsenal registered 24 shots during the match, an impressive number that shows they were constantly threatening Brighton's goal. Even more telling was their expected goals figure 3.08, which suggests they created enough quality chances to have scored 3 times. Bukayo Saka was dangerous throughout the match, causing problems for Brighton's offense on the right wing. Alan Shearer specifically mentioned Saka's impact, noting how threatening he was every time he got the ball. On the opposite flank, Leandro Trossard also impressed, providing balance to Arsenal's attack and keeping Brighton's defenders honest. However, Shearer did raise one concern about Arsenal's performance. Despite creating so many chances, the finishing let them down at times. This is a recurring theme that Mikel Arteta will want to address. When you dominate a match to the extent that Arsenal dominated Brighton, you need to convert those opportunities into goals. Leaving the opposition in the game by missing chances can come back to haunt you, as Arsenal nearly discovered in the second half. Missed opportunities and nervous moments. Gabriel Martinelli came on as a substitute and had a big opportunity to put the game to bed. Unfortunately, he missed what Shearer described as a significant chance, one that would have eased the stress and anxiety around the Emirates Stadium. When you're only leading by 1 goal, every missed opportunity becomes magnified, and Arsenal certainly felt the pressure building as the match wore on. Viktor Gyokeres also had a couple of chances during the match. While he did not convert these opportunities, his positioning and movement showed promise. Creating chances is often the hardest part, and if a striker is consistently getting into good positions, the goals will eventually come. The fact that Arsenal should have been out of sight well before Brighton worked their way back into the game is a concern that Arteta will address in training. With 24 shots and an expected goals figure over 3, the conversion rate simply was not good enough. In the Premier League, where margins are so fine, you cannot afford to be wasteful in front of goal. David Raya's moment of magic. While the attacking players created numerous chances, it was Arsenal's goalkeeper who ultimately ensured they left with all 3 points. David Raya produced what Alan Shearer described as an incredible save, one of the best saves of the season. This moment of brilliance was crucial because it came at a time when Brighton were threatening to equalize. Shearer noted that Arsenal had to rely on that incredible save, which underscores how important Raya has become to this team. A world-class goalkeeper can be the difference between winning and dropping points, and Raya demonstrated his world-class credentials with this save. Arsenal fans watching in the stadium and at home would have had their hearts in their mouths. But Raya remained calm and produced a moment of quality that was needed. This save is particularly important when you consider the context. Arsenal had failed to kill off the game despite their dominance, and Brighton sensed an opportunity. In moments like these, when momentum is shifting and the opposition is growing in confidence, a goalkeeper's intervention can be worth as much as a goal at the other end. Shearer himself acknowledged this, and his praise for Raya's save shows how crucial it was to the final result. Gabriel's return to the squad. Another positive development for Arsenal was the return of Gabriel to the squad. The Brazilian defender came on as a substitute, and his return will be a real bonus for Mikel Arteta. Gary Lineker, who was also part of the Rest Is Football podcast discussion, expressed his delight at Gabriel's return, recognizing the importance of having the defender available. Gabriel's presence gives Arsenal additional defensive solidity and leadership at the back. His partnership with William Saliba has been one of the cornerstones of Arsenal's success in recent seasons, and getting him back to full fitness will be crucial as the Gunners navigate the busy schedule ahead. Having defensive depth and quality is essential when competing on multiple fronts, and Gabriel's return addresses a key area of concern: the implications for Eberechi's. Now, let's discuss a topic that has significant implications for Arsenal squad dynamics. Eberechi's. The 27-year-old attacking midfielder will not have enjoyed watching Ødegaard's performance quite as much as other Arsenal fans. According to the article, Ease is struggling to find his place in the team, and Ødegaard's return to form only makes the situation more difficult. For the first time since April 2022, Ease has remained an unused substitute in back-to-back matches. This is a telling statistic that suggests Mikel Arteta does not quite trust him right now. Being left on the bench for 2 consecutive matches is a clear message that the manager has concerns about his current form or fitness. The article makes it clear that Ease certainly cannot be starting over Gabriel Martinelli or Leandro Trossard at left wing. Both players have established themselves in those positions and are performing well. Now, with Ødegaard rediscovering his best form in the number 10 role, Ease appears to be falling behind in the pecking order for that position as well. This is a concerning development for a player of Ease's talent. At 27 years old, he is entering what should be the prime years of his career. However, if he cannot break into the starting 11 at Arsenal, he risks losing his place not just for his club, but also for his country. The competition for places in both squads is incredibly strong, and players who are not playing regularly inevitably fall out of favor with national team selectors. The article suggests that Ease must quickly find his feet again in North London or risk losing his place entirely. This is not just about 1 or 2 matches. This is about a player's career trajectory and whether he can establish himself as a key player at a top club like Arsenal. The pressure is mounting on Ease to show Arteta that he deserves more opportunities. What this means for Arsenal's season. Let's step back and look at the bigger picture. Martin Ødegaard's return to form could not have come at a better time for Arsenal. The Gunners are in the thick of a title race, competing with some of the best teams in the Premier League. Having your captain and creative fulcrum playing at his best is essential if Arsenal are to maintain their challenge at the top of the table. Ødegaard is a player who makes Arsenal tick. He is a conductor of their orchestra, the player who dictates tempo, creates chances, and links the defense with the attack. When he is performing at his peak, Arsenal are a much more dangerous and cohesive team. When he is not quite at his best, the team often struggles to create clear-cut opportunities and can look disjointed. The fact that Alan Shearer, someone who has seen it all in English football, was so impressed by this performance suggests that Ødegaard has genuinely turned a corner. Shearer does not hand out praise lightly. He has played with and against some of the best players in Premier League history. So when he singles out performance as being someone's best of the season, that carries significant weight, building momentum for the run-in. Arsenal's next match is against Aston Villa, and the question now is whether Ødegaard can build on this momentum. One excellent performance is encouraging, but consistency is what separates good players from great ones. Can Ødegaard maintain this level of performance over the coming weeks and months? Can he deliver similar displays when Arsenal face tougher opposition, or when the pressure is at its highest? The article includes a poll asking fans whether Mikel Arteta should start Ease or Ødegaard in the number 10 role against Aston Villa. The responses overwhelmingly favor Ødegaard, with fans citing his superb performance against Brighton and the need to build on that momentum. This is a sensible approach. When a player delivers a performance of that quality, you back them to do it again. You give them the confidence and support to continue their excellent form. One fan commented that another goal like the one against Brighton would be ideal. This captures a hope and expectation around Ødegaard right now. Arsenal fans have waited for their captain to rediscover this form, and now that he has shown glimpses of his best, they want to see more of the same. The tactical flexibility Ødegaard provides. One aspect that often goes underappreciated is the tactical flexibility that a player like Ødegaard provides. When he is on top form, Arteta has more options in how he sets up the team. Ødegaard can drop deep to help control possession. He can push higher to support the strikers, or he can drift wide to create overloads in different areas of the pitch. This versatility is invaluable for a manager. It allows Arteta to adjust his tactics based on the opposition without having to make substitutions. If Arsenal need to control the game, Ødegaard can sit deeper and dictate play. If they need to chase a goal, he can push forward and become more of a direct threat. Against Brighton, we saw him do both, and he excelled in each phase of play. The pressure on competing players. For players like Ebereki Ease, Ødegaard's performance creates additional pressure. When the incumbent starter delivers a man-of-the-match performance, it becomes incredibly difficult for challengers to argue they deserve a chance. This is the harsh reality of playing for a top club. Competition for places is fierce, and you need to take every opportunity that comes your way. Ease's situation is particularly challenging because he is not getting opportunities to prove himself. Sitting on the bench for 2 consecutive matches means he cannot show Arteta what he is capable of. He cannot influence matches from the sideline. He cannot score goals or create assists while watching from the bench. This creates a difficult cycle where lack of playing time leads to lack of confidence, which in turn makes it harder to perform when chances do eventually come. The article mentions that Ease has not been an unused substitute in back-to-back matches since April 2022. This statistic highlights how unusual his current situation is. For nearly 3 years, Ease was consistently involved in matches, even if only from the bench. The fact that he is now being left out entirely suggests something has changed, either his form, his fitness, or Arteta's tactical plans. Looking ahead to Aston Villa. As Arsenal prepare to face Aston Villa, the momentum from the Brighton victory will be crucial. Villa are a strong side who will provide a tough test, but Arsenal will go into that match with renewed confidence, particularly in their captain. Ødegaard will be expected to deliver another strong performance, and the pressure will be on him to show that Brighton was not a one-off. The article asks fans to fill in the blank. Mikel Arteta should start blank in the number 10 role versus Aston Villa. The overwhelming consensus is Ødegaard. This is not just about his performance against Brighton. This is about backing your captain, your best player, and the individual who has proven over multiple seasons that he can deliver at the highest level. If Ødegaard can produce another goal like the one he scored against Brighton, it would go a long way toward securing another 3 points for Arsenal. However, even if he does not score, his overall contribution to the team's play is invaluable. His ability to create chances for others, to control the tempo of matches, and to lead by example makes him indispensable to Arsenal's ambitions. The importance of consistency. For Arsenal to achieve their goals this season, they need consistency from their key players. Ødegaard's performance against Brighton was a step in the right direction, but it needs to be the start of a sustained run of excellent displays rather than an isolated peak. The Arsenal captain himself will be aware of this. He will know that one good game, however impressive, does not define a season. The work he has been putting in on the training ground, particularly with his shooting, needs to continue. The dedication he has shown to improving that aspect of his game is commendable, and it has already paid dividends. If he maintains that work ethic and continues to refine his skills, there is no reason why he cannot deliver more performances of his quality in the weeks and months ahead. Final thoughts. Martin Ødegaard's performance against Brighton represents a potentially significant moment in Arsenal's season. Alan Shearer's assessment that it was his best game of the campaign is high praise from one of the Premier League's greatest ever players. The goal was spectacular, the overall play was impressive, and the dedication shown in training to improve his shooting has clearly paid off. For Arsenal fans, this is exactly what they have been hoping to see from their captain. After a period where he may not have been at his absolute best, Ødegaard has shown that he still possesses the quality and determination to be a match winner. With crucial fixtures coming up, including the match against Aston Villa, Arsenal need their captain firing on all cylinders. The challenge now for Ødegaard is to maintain this level of performance consistently. One excellent display is encouraging, but Arsenal need him to deliver week in and week out. The talent is clearly there. The work ethic is evident. Now it is about putting it all together consistently and leading Arsenal toward their objectives for the season. As for Gyökeres, his situation has become more complicated with Ødegaard's return to form. The 27-year-old needs to find a way back into Arteta's plans quickly, or he risks becoming a peripheral figure at Arsenal. In football, momentum is everything, and right now, all the momentum is with Martin Ødegaard. Thank you for watching Arsenal Daily News. Make sure to subscribe for more in-depth analysis of all things Arsenal, and let us know in the comments what you thought of Ødegaard's performance against Brighton. Until next time, keep supporting the Gunners.